So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to once again a webinar from UniApply Reimagine series. I'm thrilled to welcome all the panelists today for the webinar, and all the panelists can actually switch on their camera so that uh, all the audiences can see you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm going to just introduce the topic as well as I can introduce each of the panelists here today so that the audience will have a broader idea in terms of what we are going to discuss and with who on. So clearly, to some extent, I think that a couple of months back, we were thinking as Indians, all of us, that the COVID situation is under control and things will move in a direction which will help all of us to drive our life uh, towards normalcy. But clearly, it hasn't happened the way we had thought. And we are back to square one with respect to the second wave and even the discussion related to third wave of COVID in India. It is not surprising to some extent, but at the same time, the second wave is even more threatening than the first one. And hence, we need to ensure that we take precautions with respect to safety and security of everyone around us, including ourselves. Today's topic was actually discussed and decided to understand more about the future of education in the COVID era, because we are clearly seeing that for last almost a year, more than a year, uh, the education system is largely has moved online. So how the future of education in the pandemic era as well as post-pandemic will move from brick to click and from click to brick, which we have seen in between, and a combination of both, because we are clearly seeing that eventually, once the pandemic is over, there will be new ways which are kind of blended ways of learning uh, for all the schools as well as for all the students who are in schools. So that's the topic of discussion today, and we have the eminent panelist. We'd like to introduce Prachi ma'am. Prachi ma'am is the chairperson for Vidya Bharati School in Delhi, and she has spent more than a couple of decades in education sector. And to be just, if I have to say one thing about Prachi ma'am, I will just pick up here one thing more from a point of view that she is also the secretary of the action committee. She manages that piece where all the private unaided schools of Delhi, which come under this umbrella, where she actually supports those schools with respect to whatever discussions and decisions they take. She is one person who takes that to the government and takes it back from the government to ensure that all private schools' interest to some extent is protected, keeping in mind obviously the parents at the wheel. So welcome Prachi ma'am to the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Sure. Moving on, we have Kiran ma'am with us. Kiran ma'am has spent more than 30 years in education sector. She is the vice principal of Children's Academy at Ghaziabad. And as I was sharing for Prachi ma'am, if I have to pick up one thing for Kiran ma'am is that she has devoted her life to the cause of using the present system to impart knowledge along with the right values to children. So she has been a torch bearer of managing this across the board in various institutions. Welcome, Kiran ma'am. Moving on, we have Charu ma'am with us. She is the director principal of Siddharth International School. Again, she has spent more than 14 years in the education sector. And one of the things which I have to highlight about Charu ma'am is that she feels that somebody or she has a vision to create a teacher-based community where teachers can actually discuss various things related to pedagogy, subject expertise, learning experiences, which will benefit them to ensure that they can meet up with the challenges of this modern era with respect to teaching. Welcome, Charu ma'am. And the last, we have Bharti ma'am. She is the vice principal of Kalka Public School, Faridabad. Again, she has more than 20 years of experience in the field of education. And she clearly believes in creating learning and yearning platforms for students for an effective teaching and learning process. Thank you so much, Bharti ma'am, for joining this webinar. Sure. So I'm going to not spend too much of time with respect to the introduction now. Broadly, my name is Vikram and I lead the UniApply business. UniApply is a common application platform which helps a parent to search for the right school for their child through a single platform. And we are working with more than 1,200 schools in Delhi NCR and in Maharashtra to support them to get right applications for their needs for all these schools. We are a part of a company called No Paper Forms, and No Paper Forms is working with more than 400 universities in India and abroad, supporting their all the needs with respect to application and enrollment management. Very briefly, if I have to talk about the topic, before I go to Prachi ma'am to throw her light in terms of what she thinks and what has been her experience for the past 1 year, I would like to just set the context with respect to what are we going to discuss here in the next 45 minutes or so. Broadly, we are going to look at that if you have to think about as individuals that if something is being made in a factory, and if you have to just close your eye and think about it, that there is a raw material which comes in, then there is a processing which happens, and then there is a QA check and packaging and all that which happens, and then the dispatching of the material happens. If you look at the supply chain for a factory, now think about it more from a point of view of a school. When you think about it from a point of view of school, a student is joining the school, and I'm just kind of taking that example forward. That student is a raw material to the school. And the entire idea of school education is to polish that student and convert that student into a finished product, which will go out in the market and do stuff in their individual life as well as in the life of the society. So if you think from that point of view, COVID to some extent turn around this entire piece of brick and mortar learning into a online kind of learning currently for the past 1 year. And the switch from traditional brick and mortar to online was very, very fast across the globe, particularly in India. Very commendable that teachers started teaching online overnight. And that was the biggest phenomenon. And the best thing was that there was no training given to teacher. The pandemic stuck. We went into lockdown, and all of a sudden the principals, the owners, and the teachers actually took on themselves to convert the brick and mortar teaching into an online teaching overnight. And that is what we have seen in last 1 year. But if you look at this holistically, that all the processes of the school slowly and steadily have moved online. It started with learning, that we switched online to learning. But think about the admission. Most of the admission stuff now has moved online. Think about the assessment post learning, that has gone online. Think about the evaluation. Everything which was physical has turned actually online. So from that point of view, we have to understand more about what are the challenges which the schools have faced or have been facing, and what can be done to those challenges. And hence I open the ground and welcome Prachi ma'am to talk about that, ma'am, that what your school has seen, what you have seen, since you wear the head of the secretary as well. I'm sure that you have got a lot of response from school owners, from principals of private unaided schools. So what has been your experience of past 1 year and where you see this going?
Thank you very much, Vikramji, for the benign introduction that you gave to me, and I'm very obliged to be in the presence of such esteemed principals and owners across Delhi. So a very esteemed panel there. In my opinion, COVID-19 for education has been the biggest unplanned experiment. We have had no planning for this experiment that was forced upon us on everyone across the world. So in effect, I think we all went through it together. Everyone survived it and conquered it in terms of education very well, I believe. In the initial lockdown, if everyone recalls, started in March, for Delhi at least. And March is one of those periods that is a very transition linked period for schools in terms of admissions, in terms of result tabulation, in terms of assessment. The schools, that is the busiest period for the school, March and April. And we went through the lockdown then. So everything was just up in the the air. How would schools manage? And if its schools had not managed that, had not circumvented, found solutions with companies like UniApply, then schools would have become dinosaurs, extinct. If we couldn't go through the learning process, through admissions, through result tabulation, our existence would not have been here present today, because we would not be there to support our children, to give routine to our children. The initial lockdown, when it started, there were a lot of things that various schools had to discuss between themselves. And Action Committee obviously gave a big forum to a lot of schools to bring their queries forward. And through that means a lot of solutions were put forth. And it worked very well for unaided schools, I must say. In almost, as soon as the lockdown came, in almost a day, I think we had to change the way we taught, change the way we took admissions, change the way how we assessed our students, how we presented our results, tabulated our result. It was predominantly for school owners and school teachers and constituted authorities within a school. From moving on to giving results on a face-to-face interactive manner, it had to move online. And online interaction, individual, is not possible. So we had to have communication means with our parents that were generic and were widespread in one go, rather than one message, one phone call, one online interaction or physical interaction. With regards to admissions, since UniApply deals with a lot of admissions, so I will concentrate a little bit of admissions and how we did our admissions initially. A lot of admissions, how parents determine admissions, is location of a school, distance from them, cost in with regards to the what the cost of the school is in terms of finances, how the parent can manage that. And it is the biggest investment a parent makes for themselves and for their child. Initially, these admissions are done on face-to-face basis. We don't take admissions online, never have done admissions online. There were various means where we would receive email queries, but essentially admissions would be a face-to-face process in any school in Delhi. I would beg to differ with any person who says that they were doing online admissions prior to the pandemic happening. These investment that the parent makes also is determined by whether they are alumni of the school or they know some alumni, what our CBSE results are, who our toppers are. So these are a lot of determining factors that any parent wants to look into, and that looking into is normally dealt with the admissions coordinator in the school. So and we used to receive 500 odd admission inquiries within the school through various forms. Our school used to be full, and we had to start this queuing process where we used to give roll numbers or chits to parents that you can only come during this time, during these days. And we used to work till 7 o'clock at times to ensure that this process was dealt in a manner that the parents' first experience with the school wasn't negative. Because in effect, who comes into the school, who we convert from an inquiry to a parent to a student, determines what the school's financial status would be for 14 continuous years. So we want to take this child that we can nurture from day one to the day that the child leaves the school. That's a 14-year long commitment a parent makes with us, and we make towards our parents. So we need to make sure that initial touch with the parents has been good, but that had to move online very quickly, very immediately, or any school would suffer financially if they wouldn't have taken those admissions. So with UniApply, these parents had this one platform where they could compare my school to the one school near me very quickly. They could decide whether my school is better in academics, post-scholastics, scholastics, and make that informed choice based not just on what I said within the UniApply. It was also determined with a lot of information that UniApply was taking from Google reviews, from YouTube, etc. So this became a one-point stop for all my parents to go in and choose. Yes, I prefer your school's compared to your school because maybe you're better at curricular. I may not be good at academics. I'm just giving an example. My school is great at academics also, but in comparison to schools near to me, that we prefer the schools where ratio of children is say 26:1 or 20:1. So parent had this whole choice. They could go on virtual tours, look at photos that various parents, children have put up, go into our media pages, explore themselves and make a very informed choice. In fact, the information I used to give them when they used to come in the school was very human oriented. We would look at what parent is asking and we will give the answer to that, unless it's an orientation program where they're all getting the same information. So it was very, the information was based on what the parents would be asking me. But now it was up to parents, this click, wherever they clicked, they could get the information in one go, very specific, very targeted information for their benefit itself. So that worked very well for us, I would say. Having platforms like these enabled us to make admissions in a very quick transition. It happened from physical, where parent would come in, and then to online mode, and it was very seamless. That's the word I'm looking. It was extremely seamless process how we moved into it. The second thing that came was obviously results, the tabulation of results. Admissions is very process driven. And I think all of you would agree with me. It is about documents. It is about what results they have got previously, if they're coming in the middle session sometime. Extremely process driven. With UniApply, we can just have a look at all the data so quickly, so efficiently. So that process driven, where I would be asking them to scan papers and send them, was completely removed. So my process for me became very easy again. So consistently, these kind of applications assist the schools to move away from process driven to become more human touch driven. So our conversations wouldn't be how many marks, what's your surname, can you spell it. Parent is doing all that. Our questions would be more targeted towards what they're looking for in the school, so that we can make that education that we provide more individual based, which we can do now because it's online. We can give that individual touch now. We can take that half an hour extra with the parent, with the child, explain to them our pedagogical approaches, what we used in primary, secondary, or senior secondary classes. The second thing that came to us as soon as the March finished was ensuring academics were there and learning for my teachers. I think I discussed with you before that my teachers are digital migrants. They are not born into this technology. They are primarily migrants to this technology, while my children are digital natives. They have been brought up through this. To even get the screen in the right manner, right position, I do have to ask my son, can you make it right? Can you put my name right? So these things teachers had to learn, that they have to write their name rather than saying Zoom, or half the time the child's name would be there because they would be doing online classes. These small touches, that this was such a steep learning curve for the teachers, that it's commendable that teachers circumvent that steep learning curve and are where they are. A lot of teachers, and I bow my head to teachers, how they have changed from being migrants to nearly natives now, and they are very good at moving these screen shares, sharing apps, using YouTube as assistance towards their learning. So teachers have also, instead of being in the classroom with a book of NCERT, teachers have got this whole plethora of learning apps and learning gadgets at their disposal, and that is making learning more relevant than it was before. From what the teachers were, they were this was a stage set up for teachers. How I learned, set up stage for the teacher would come, read the book, I would read a paragraph, second child would read the paragraph. No more. Teachers have become more curators of information, curators of knowledge, and that knowledge they are giving to the children. So children, instead of just learning by rote, are learning to learn themselves. So they are becoming knowledge acquirers, not just having the basic knowledge, what it says in the book. The research that the children are doing, the numerous PPTs that come to us through the children, that is very research oriented. So children are also learning to learn the basic ethics of team spirit and morality. We can't cheat. Plagiarism is not allowed in school. Plagiarism is not good for our health. We need to think. So that thinking brain is coming in a lot. So yes, a lot of CCP, that copy cut paste, is also happening, but that is something that teachers are learning how to circumvent now, where our children is concerned, by using again these apps that catch on to what plagiarism is. So learning has become so much more interactive to what it was prior to that. So in effect, we have moved from that brick to click. Definitely entirely click. For an entire year we moved to click. Then obviously, like you said, we moved to brick again, partly for the school, and that was very nice. As an educator, it was lovely to see the children back in the school. It was so nice to hear their voices after our schools were so quiet for good 9-8 months. It was beautiful to see that. But now again, we are back to that click, and we need to support our children. We need to give them structure, we need to give them routine, and that's what the role of educators have become, to enable them to become lifelong learners. So back to click, and we will come back to that brick, because long term, that brick, that mortar and brick building is irreplaceable. That is the first society that the child enters into, from their household to knowing mother, father, grandparents, etc., cousins. This is the first society where they make independent relationships, where they learn the societal norms, where they learn how to interact, where they learn how to read body language and learn so many cognitive skills that it's difficult to put in, a line. So where we are, we will become a hybrid model. Schooling will become hybrid model, especially for senior classes. Maybe junior, we will have more touch when things are normal. But with regards to senior classes, it will for sure become a more hybrid model, and it will benefit learning a lot. This technological driven revolution within the education sector is an excellent opportunity for us to upskill ourselves. But at the same time, we need to make sure that the younger children don't have these learning gaps that they would have when they come back to school, whenever that is so. And I hope that is so soon, to be very honest. So that's my two bits, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, ma'am, for elaborating that and setting the stage for our conversation. Let me quickly go to Charu, ma'am, since Prachi, ma'am, and Charu, ma'am both are from Delhi, and they are representing Delhi schools, and hence intentionally we had brought in Faridabad and Ghaziabad schools as well, because the admission in Delhi, as well as if you look at in Haryana or in UP, it's a bit different compared to what Delhi admission, at least if I talk about the nursery admissions. So Charu ma'am, what has been your experience broadly with your school in Delhi, and how you navigated this in terms of end to end from admissions to finally evaluating a student and grading that student to the next grade?
Yeah, so like Prachi ma'am said that the first, savior that came our way was UniApply for sure. They came to us at the very right time that we required them. And earlier there used to be walk-ins, like the traditional approach used to be followed, that there used to be walk-ins, there used to be newspaper advertisements, there used to be, Facebook pages which used to upload for admissions open, and we used to have our own admission drive, which was human resource driven. But then came technology, and we suddenly had to, switch over to another platform. And thankfully, the area in which my school is situated, and I am sure for the rest of the Delhi and Ghaziabad, is that UniApply is pretty famous as an organization. People know about it. So when you launch your school as a partner in admissions with UniApply, it's easier to kind of get across to your parents. So that was easier for us. And UniApply, I must say, did a lot for us to kind of put us in the media itself as their partner. So we were doing a vice versa thing. You were promoting us and we were promoting you, and that brought in a lot of help. And I was sharing with you earlier also that there was a parent who got to know about the school, and she was living a little far off, beyond 5 kilometers of range. And she came to the school, she saw the school, she had heard a lot about the school earlier, and she was happy with the changes and the developments. And she said that, ma'am, I live in Patparganj, which is far off if my child is small, but I came across to your school through UniApply, and I so wanted to be a part of the school, but just because of the distance and my child being small, I will not be able to go ahead. But later on, maybe when my child grows up. So what I really realized was that if you look at a deep reflection exercise with the collaboration with UniApply as an admission drive platform, is that I also ended up creating some relationships. The parent who thought that when the child will grow up and is capable of traveling alone could probably, come back to our school. So I could actually make some relationships which could be long lasting. So I had my, future parent clientele ready as well. And UniApply, the whole process was pretty seamless, like ma'am said. It was very, very easy for the parent to kind of, choose the school which was in their vicinity, and look at what are the amenities which are being offered. Also, you gave us a platform to be very transparent to the parent who doesn't know us. So like, for example, the fee structure, we made a fee structure very, very transparent, and the parent who wanted to know, what is the cost of the, learning that my child is going to get in a particular school. And so that really helped us. And all the admissions, all the, calls and all the walk-ins that happened through platforms like UniApply really helped us. So that was a big relief, very, very big relief.
Ma'am, that was more on the admission piece, how you navigated more from a learning, evaluation, and an assessment point of view in your school.
Yes,
And
so I remember,
to add to that, ma'am, just to add to
in,
that what financial
yeah,
challenges or financial resources you had to pull through to ensure that you navigate that change?
So I'll come across to the finances a little later, because I would talk about the learning first, being an educator, and when I started my career as a teacher, so I always feel education is more important than finances. So that ways I'll take it up. And so I remember the exams were going on in my school in the month of March, and 19th March was the last exam. No, 22nd March was the last exam, and 19th March was when lockdown was announced. So everybody had to rush through. We were all in school, and I had to say bye bye to my teachers, and those quick take care and bye bye teachers and all. I did not know when to see them, when I would see them. And 25th March we had to start with a class 12, which was already, it was the plan. So Prachi ma'am talked about the teachers had to take a leap. Here I would say that my teachers took a very quick leap, and I'm so proud of it, that both the branches that I'm heading, they quickly rolled over to online teaching. They automatically on their own found a Zoom app. They automatically found that, okay, if Zoom is not working on my system, then there is something called as Team Link. And at that point of time, I was not aware of Team Link. I was only aware of Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom. So Zoom was the quickest of the options to take up because it was easier to use. So a lot of them started the 25th of March, to my surprise, and I was really happy and proud of the fact. What came across to me as a challenge was the students and the parents, because students and the parents suddenly realize that now they are all going to be packed inside the home, and they're going to sit at their double beds or their dining tables and take classes. So suddenly my students were, all haywire. It was like a parent came to me and said, ma'am, karna kaise hai? Karna kya hai? So it was more about parent engagement to my school, holding regular PTMs, sending class invites through ERP. So ERP was one system that was not very effective, and that was not very usable at the time when the school was running. So not many parents were very successfully using it. But suddenly when the online teaching came in, ERP became very important, because we used to send our classroom links also. So suddenly everybody switched over to technology. And my children, I remember, I used to go and visit the classes in between. So they used to hear the questions, and they used to say, ma'am, I cannot hear you. I said, you must have heard me, that's why you're replying, right? So I mean, they also found out. But then you see, at the back, you realize that they are grappling with this change. So it was a socio-emotional change that they were encountering. The parents were seeing their children 24/7 at home. Their phones, their laptops were hijacked. The internet and the Wi-Fi's were going for a toss. You see, people were losing their internet connection. So I used to tell this to my children. I remember whenever I used to see them, that look, your teacher is double, triple your age, and she has got onto technology and teaching online so quickly, and you people are so young. I mean, and you're giving us all the bahanas. This is not going to work out. So, but then you see, it was a time of socio-emotional change and emotion management for the most of us, because apart from online teaching learning, when you step out of your house, you were afraid. There was a lot of panic. Now the situation is worse, but at that time, people were really afraid of the cases going up, and so like children who had not bought purchased their books, they were afraid to go out, and they were looking for online options. They were looking for PDFs. We were looking for PDFs to give to them. And so it was very difficult for the parent to handle learning at home, and for the children to understand as to what to do. So we had to do a little bit of shuffling. For example, there are leadership roles in the classroom. There is a class monitor, there's a notebook monitor, there is a absent present monitor, there's an attendance monitor. So we thought that we could bring in these roles even on an online mode. We did that. We tried to replace as much as we could into the online system. So even when you have notebook collection or assignment collection on WhatsApp, we made one monitor for such a, if there was a homework sharing monitor, then there was one person assigned for that. So we did a lot of that. We did a lot of PTMs, more than required, to orient parents, because at one point of time, many parents could not join us for various reasons. So we had to talk to parents continuously, seek their support, ask for their cooperations, ask them to fill up suggestion forms and feedback forms. And then there was this time, like Prachi ma'am said, when the schools reopened for some time, and we kind of told our children that, okay, first pre-board happened in December when you were sitting at home, so you all got very good marks, but the second pre-board is going to happen in school. And that was another time when children were now for 10 months comfortable at home. Suddenly they're asked to come back to school. So it's another shift. So again, they were, it was difficult for them to kind of get back to the uniforms, find their shoes, find their socks, find their ties, and then, iron them and come to school for exams. So I think it was a difficult time in terms of management of socio-emotional changes that came across with the pandemic. Now, when it comes to finances, it was difficult because parents who were, on jobs which were contractual in nature, who were not really, very financially very well off. They had to cut off their savings. They had to break their FDs to pay the fees and to bear the expenditures at home. They were professionals, and some of them actually told us that, ma'am, we have lost our job. And some of them told us, ma'am, we are not getting our salaries for the past 2 months. When it happened in May, June, some of the parents had lost their jobs, and they were not given their salaries because of the pandemic. So it was difficult. Fees collection was a very, very difficult task. We had to think of schemes as to how to kind of engage parents and ask them for suggestions as to how do you want to pay the fees. Even when the government of Delhi announced that only tuition fees will be charged, then also it was difficult as fees collection. So we were sending continuous SMSs to them that, dear parent, please pay your fees on time, kindly. So you see, those things had to happen from the school side. But in terms of infrastructure or the school building that could be enhanced, and the learning spaces that could be created with the funds that would come our way, stopped completely. So but then, even at the virtual level, there were expenses, such as, we were into so many apps, we were into internet connections, we were into paying salaries of the teachers on time, because they were working so hard. So it became very difficult. Finances were too tight, and we were we were actually, as a school, facing a very difficult time when it came to fees collection and managing finances. So
Thank you
like
so much, ma'am.
parents had to break their savings to, kind of take care of the learning process of the child. The school also had to break into their reserve funds to kind of, make sure that the teachers are satisfied in terms of their salaries and other expenditures that we were incurring.
Ma'am, clearly we have heard actually from the Delhi schools. Let me quickly go to Kiran, ma'am. Ma'am, what has been your experience in Ghaziabad with respect to how you adapted this change from all processes point of view, be it admissions, learning, assessment, grading, evaluation? Uh, how your school managed it, and what are your learnings, and what do you think that there are opportunities where, as a society, we can improve?
Good evening, everyone, all the esteemed panelists, and Vikram. And thank you, Unit Live, for inviting me for such a pertinent discussion, which is actually the need of the hour. Like I've been listening to ma'am and all. So, see, I would begin with saying first that it is not the strongest of the species, that survives, not even the most intelligent ones. It is the one who's able
मैम, कैन यू
to
स्पीक अ
adapt
बिट
to
लाउडर?
change.
मैम, योर वॉइस इज नॉट कमिंग क्लियरली. आप थोड़ा सा जोर से बोलेंगे मैम, या आप थोड़ा वॉल्यूम बढ़ाएंगे अपने लैपटॉप का?
Am I audible now? Is it okay?
बेटर मैम, और बेटर हो सकता है शायद थोड़ा सा.
Okay, I'll put the speaker to I will close to myself. So I was just saying that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, not even the most intelligent ones. It is the ones who are able to adapt themselves to change, to underline change here, as very aptly said by Charles Darwin. And I believe, that holds very true for all of us, for all the industries, all the sectors, especially the education sector. And I would even say that a trap is a trap till you don't know about it. Once you know there exists a trap, it becomes a challenge. And we all have been through those challenging and turbulent times. Like if we revisit the last year when the lockdown was announced, thankfully, gracefully, by grace of God, we were through with our exams, even the result also. We were just aligned for reopening our schools. So, if I could really say about admissions, uh, maximum admission, the process was over for us. It was only a few those transferable cases that we get. So that is what I'm saying. If the start was not that difficult for us at that time, but now came the beginning of the new session. Certainly, things, never got any time to recline back and think and plan. Things had to be, quickly taken over. And if you talk of the teachers, their handling of technology was a challenge for us. We took a week's time, and by I think 30th of March, we were able to begin our online classes. See, very honestly, we did not begin with proper online classes. We began with WhatsApp videos. We coordinated with the parents on WhatsApp groups. And when the videos were longer, when they were difficult to upload, we started with the YouTube link. So teachers learned, they made the videos, uploaded them on the YouTube link, and then shared with the children. So things were a little smooth, but then eventually, again, that interaction with the children, that emotional connect with the children, that was missing. So we wanted more interaction, and we wanted, of course, just to test where all the children stood. And suddenly, and I would say suddenly, but gradually, smoothly, we switched over to the online mode, that is a clipboard through Zoom classes. So now the teachers, like ma'am was just saying, when I saw my teachers, they had learned far, far more than what actually we know to date also. Even today, if I need to do something, even align a Zoom meeting, schedule a Zoom meeting, I have to kind of take help from them. They would tell me how to share the screen, how to mute, unmute, how to take up the chatting and everything. So it is wonderful when I visit the classes now. I mean, it gives me pride that, I mean, these teachers who were reluctant, who were, they were facing so much of inhibition. Even you remember, if you people can connect with it, the parents, the glaring eyes of the parents, they were sitting with the children, trying to pinpoint, trying to see for even a little bit of a glitch and pinpoint that, whatever the teacher's pronunciation is not very correct, here she is faltering. So those challenges, we all, it was hand holding. We all held each other, kind of pacified them that it is not, the teachers who are being questioned, it is, of course, our system. So since we were not into the click thing, we were not into the online thing, now things, the transition does take time. So somehow, whatever, the transition became much, much smoother, and the year, maybe till by the end of, by half yearlies, we were able to sort out how to even conduct exams online through Google and all. Some were, through subjective exams were carried on through PDFs and all. So things were far, far better. In fact, I would say, the landscape changed tremendously. The reason being, the backbenchers were no more backbenchers now. They were, they were putting up questions. They were answering their peers. Rather, there was more of peer tutoring now. They were the ones who were able to address the issues, address the questions asked by their peers. So this way, things they became a little more open. And here I would also say, we did not want our children to kind of miss on their offline classes, because it is not so easy to, I mean, quickly come from the offline mode to the online mode. So we began with a proper morning assemblies, wherein the children started the day with a morning prayer. They shared thoughts also. They even spoke about the day bygone. So there was far, far, I mean, the learning continued. We had that co-curricular activities through assembly. We celebrated all the special days through virtual assembly, be it the Mother's Day, be it the Father's Day, be it the Earth Day, be it making any art and craft. Even in the school competitions, we were able to hold such wonderfully, and we got a wonderful response from the other schools too. If I could say, my students, it was their first, especially my primary students, it was their first MUN which they attended online, and they were able to learn too well. They wouldn't have been able to go to Gurgaon had it not been online. So they were wonderfully happy. They learned a lot, and they were able to carve a niche there as well. And if we talk of learning also, learning, I would say, if not if not better, but at least we are not losing much on learning. Why? When we talk of experiential learning, as NEP 2020 also says, no, that we have to do competence building, we have to do skill building, we have to have more experiential learning. I think everybody would agree with me. Now, children, whatever learning is taking place, we ask them to make models out of that. We ask them to make those presentations online. They are able to, have GDs online. We are able to have better quizzes online. So learning is a little more enjoyable than, what they had. Earlier, still, a lot of notebook work, a lot of writing and all was there. So now the children, if they don't have that much, I mean, that is not very burdensome. They are performing more, whatever their area of interest. We have integrated art also, art along with yoga. And if you talk about the screen time, see, there were issues. Parents were complaining, no, and there were government guidelines also that let us reduce the screen time, it is harming their eyes and all. So what we did it, through yoga, we told them better postures, how to sit. At least, they could sit comfortably for the classes. Even, we taught them how to keep on blinking their eyes, after a specific duration, not to have dry eyes. So we try to even have counseling sessions. We try to have better, online sessions for them. And here, if I could share, we are also affiliated with heartfulness. So heartfulness, mindfulness. We even taught the children during this period of anxiety when they were all going through so much of turbulence, even the parents. So we are already affiliated with heartfulness. So we had relaxation sessions for them. It was, be able to connect with your own self, be able to connect to your soil, to the earth. So, that gratitude, that thankfulness, that self-realization. So we even, help out the parents as well as the students to come out of this in a far more amicable way, in a more smoother way. Now here comes again the parents issue. Parents were again, they were apprehensive how, the things would go. My child, may not be able to, they were facing some problems. So we had, my management is, basically they are particularly very, very concerned about the stakeholders. So we organized not only virtual meetings, but even physical parents meets we had, just to address their issues in a manner that, they were all satisfied. So we kept on meeting them. Like ma'am already said, they had a lot of parent teachers meet. Similarly, we also almost month and a half we used to organize a physical meet with the parents in order to address their issues face to face. And admissions, yes, UniApply did come to a rescue. That was somewhere in the middle of the year. So maybe we were a little late in getting in touch with them and collaborating with them. But yes, they are our saviors. Parents, like I would say, I think Prachi ma'am was saying that, physically, yes, no matter how well versed you are, how digital, you are, but till you don't visit a child's school physically, things don't materialize, undoubtedly. But at least, platforms, forums like UniApply, they give at least the parents the first choice. Initiation happens when they have to select the child's school, comparing, the infrastructure, the facilities, the fee structure, whether it, I am able to, this suits me. So as per my suitability, at least initiation happens through platforms such as UniApply. They are able to at least register themselves, and certainly the process generally till they come to the school doesn't, doesn't finish off, doesn't materialize. So that is there, that little bit of a glitch is there. But otherwise, I would say, see, admissions, of course, they will keep happening, no doubt. The financial crunches the parents are facing, we all understand. It is, times are challenging, times are hard. So we also face a lot of issues. It was rather a double whammy. Again, shelling out a lot of money on internet or technology, and then on the other side, parents are not able to pay your fees. So we have to be somewhat empathetic. But anyways, money is, money speaks for money only. So money, the things, what the cost, money will always cost. So there we had to, compromise a lot. And again, I would say, I would really appreciate our management for the purpose. There was no downsizing. The faculty was with us, is with us. So that fairness was there. But again, somewhere, some minus pluses had to be done in order to address everybody's needs. So I would say, I think all in all, the teachers do. We all can say that the teachers are not just teachers and facilitators. Now they have become the counselors. They have become the instructors. They have become the friends. So in their own way, they are addressing their children's needs. They are addressing, now they're taking smaller groups also. So we had to devise a way in the beginning how to address, how to take care of everybody's individual interests. So we had to even resize the classrooms. Teachers were working harder than ever. They were taking, 10, 10, 12, 12 classes. So continuously working for 6 to 7 hours. And it was little disheartening in the beginning where the parents were, fault finders. The parents were a little dissatisfied. But gradually now the parents have realized, that nothing like the teachers. I think the respect for the teacher fraternity has actually augmented, has actually gone up. So I think that is it, I have to say.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that long and very updated kind of feedback from schools largely in Ghaziabad. Let me quickly go to Bharti, ma'am. Ma'am, we have heard a lot about admissions, learning, assessments, what schools have faced, both in Delhi as well as in Ghaziabad. You are in Faridabad, ma'am, and broadly, if I have to flip the question for you and ask you that, how, from a student's point of view, what do you think that how they adapted to this learning, how parents actually looked at this more from a point of view of being on the screen all the time, how they managed and how schools managed to ensure that in spite of teaching online, the students are learning the concepts and getting into the detail of stuff. So what has been your experience on the other side with students, ma'am?
Good evening, Vikram. Good evening, Uniply, and good evening, my fellow panelists and attendees. Thank you for the question. And indeed, it's a very important question, not only from the point of view of teachers, it was a revolutionary year for students and parents as well. Learning online was not that easy, and parents had this question that, ma'am, screen time cannot be increased so much. Another difficulty that we faced, my teachers faced, was my teachers were not that tech savvy. All of them were not that tech savvy, so we had to arrange workshops, and we had to teach them the skills to be online. And believe me or not, today they are excellent online tutors, all of them, and I'm proud to say that, because they make their worksheets, they make their PPTs, they're not dependent on any site. All my worksheets go online and children solve, send the PDFs, and my teacher check it. But initial phase was a difficult one, wherein all the houses did not have spare devices also for the children, and especially in the houses where both the parents were working. Here, Faridabad, most of the genera of the parents here is working class. So because it's the industrial hub of the state, so parents had their mobile phones, especially thinking about the tiny tots. They were all dependent on their dadis, nanis, and nana's phone, because they did not have spare laptops. But touch wood, parents did cooperate with us, because none of us wanted it to be a zero academic year, neither the teachers nor the parents. So our focus was, let us continue howsoever. We'll keep learning and we'll keep moving on. We'll keep learning and we'll keep moving on. So this is how we learned. We came across Zoom, we formed our Google Classrooms, and then parents started sending their reviews on social media. They really appreciated the efforts made by the management, the platform provided by my management, and the efforts put in by my teachers. Slowly and gradually, we overcame all the difficulties. Though it was not that easy, we had to conduct orientation programs for the parents as well. Parents were, briefed about how we are going to use and how we are going to make sure that it's safe for the children. Basic concern of the parents was that my child should not misuse technology. How can I trust the teachers? How should I give the technology and the net free access to my child? Who will take care of it? But then we ensured the parents that, yes, we are going to use only safe mode of teaching. And then we started sending the PPTs also home, wherein if the child misses any class, the parents can sit with the child and show the PPT, especially to the pre-primary ones, wherein they can have the rhymings and countings and the story narration along with their parents also. So I would really appreciate the role the parents have played in the previous year in the learning process. It was not only teachers who were learning, it was the parents who were, making a role shift. It was actually a role shift for the parents. Number one, they started working from home. Number two, they started being their child's teacher also at home. So our role was to keep motivating the children as well as the parents in their role. And yes, assessment was very, very important. After every topic, an assessment test was planned, and my teachers used to check them. Used to check them through the PDFs, the notebooks. We used to get them completed. The times were tough. We could not ask for, physical notebooks. So we took PDFs of the notebooks and corrected and gave suggestions. Tests were also taken. We used exam.net to take the tests. Teachers learned how to make question paper on exam.net, how to put remarks, how to mark them. And parents also, they learned how to read the teacher's remark, what she's written. What does it mean? What does it mean? How to, stop annotations during online classes was a big challenge. So Zoom also came up with latest versions, and my teachers also kept learning whatever new was coming up. And parents review and UniApply, I believe you people go through the parents review that they put. That is why positive remarks went to the parents, new parents, and we started off with our admission work September onwards, as we do every year. So, though offline queries were hardly any in September, but yes, online queries were many, and parents were preferring to fill online forms and transfer money and take admission. And today we have, by the grace of God, numerous new admissions in our school.
So, ma'am, thank you so much for that guidance. Let me quickly go to Prachi ma'am again and ask her, ma'am, since you are managing this private body of unaided private schools, largely as a secretary, and many schools in Delhi NCR and in many parts of India, clearly this year has been, to some extent, if I have to use word, has been a rough year, more from a point of view of not only uh, teaching, learning, as well as adapting the new technologies and all that, which we have done very beautifully. But at the same time, it was a learning year. But my question is largely from the point of view, ma'am, that there are many admissions which haven't happened in schools. And there are many nursery seats which are lying vacant in not only in Delhi NCR, but in other parts of India as well. So as a school, do you think that you want to give any message to the parents who are very skeptical, some of them, that do I need to put my child in nursery in an online setup? Because clearly this is going to last for another 3 to 6 months till the time all of us are not vaccinated properly in India. So what's your suggestion on that, ma'am?
I feel very strongly that there is a certain age group which needs to go into school. This age group needs to interact socially with other children of their age and authority figures that are not parents. And that society, we as a school, we are a small society. I think I discussed it before. Initially children are in a very environment of the home where there's mother, father, grandparents, maybe cousins and cousin sisters and brothers, etc. But school is another society, introduction to a society, a mini environment where the child learns basic values, learns cognitive skills, learns social interaction, understands what body language of a person other than the parent. Parents, they see from day one, they're born, they know the eyes, how to differentiate between children, between parents, between elders, having that interaction, not just with children of their age, but children who are mentors to them, who become buddies within the school system, interacting with faculty members, understanding language skills, understanding activities is a completely different ballgame what a parent can do it. Otherwise, every parent would be a teacher, and every parent is a teacher. But a teacher who has been trained to identify these skill sets within children are completely different. They are trained to teach children a certain manner of behaving. You'll be surprised, and I think everyone here on the panel would agree, we all receive children every year in our preschool, pre-primary, where they're not even trained to use the toilet. It becomes the school's role. Why children pick up that training is because they see a peer, and that's peer group learning. As soon as the child sees, oh, that child isn't doing it in the nappy, I can't do it. That learning is like this. Within a month, all children are trained without any doubt. And I think all the panelists here would agree. And that is the importance of peer learning. A child who hasn't been in school and is losing school years of 2, the child is still growing. The age is not going down. The age is growing up. And the child's skills to pick up those essential learning, steps or learning. I think there's a particular word for it, which every year we judge a child whether they have got certain skills. I'm sure one of the panel ones know, and it's just slipping my mind right now. Those skills need to be measured with age. And once the child doesn't go for 2 years into school, that level of learning automatically decreases. We all understand what a summer learning gap is. 1 month the child is in holiday in the school, off the school. We have these children coming back who are completely blank for 1 week. They don't even know how to get back to school. For 1 week, we have louder classes, more indiscipline in the school than ever because they have forgotten. So we are talking, no, I'm not talking about nursery or pre-primary, preschool. I'm talking about 10th, 11th. We see this every year, once a year after summer. They have to be re-indoctrinated, so to speak, into the way the school system works. So if a parent decides that no, it's online education, I don't need to work with it, it's completely waste of money, waste of time, I have to put so much more time into it. No, the child is your biggest investment. You have to understand it. It's a human investment that you've taken a decision to have a child. And if it takes some time off your busy diary to make sure the child learns those interesting age related skills, then yes, you have to put that time in. Otherwise, you would regret it in 18 years. It's easy to control a 3-year-old. It's not easy to control an 18-year-old. So those skills need to be learned. Children learn, the biting. A lot of children come to school and they have this habit of biting and don't have any control over their hands and arms. They just go haywire. These skills are taught in school. These skills cannot be taught in the house. It's not possible for a mother or a father to train those skills because it is predominantly peer learning. How to stand, how to sit, how to behave, how to wait for our turn. The special skills of, even learning how to make a line, a vertical line, is taught in pre-primary, preschool. And you are losing out if parent, it has to think long term. The child will lose out tremendously if those 2 essential years you have made the decision not to put in school. They would go haywire. As it is, what are they doing at home? Watching TV, maybe playing toys. What are they learning? They're learning nothing. Watching TV consistently. What's on TV nowadays? News. And what is that? It's complete. They're seeing their parents get affected by news, which they don't understand, but they're picking up the sensitivity of their parent, what they're picking up from the news. And a school, if they take it out, we are not teaching, telling them what's happening in the news. We are taking them through a learning journey, through A's and B's, through C's, through elephants, through, journey of the animal kingdom, virtual tours of various zoos, virtual tours of Red Fort, and, Qutub Minar. We are doing that. A child is learning every day. And a parent who has put their child even through virtual school last year will identify that a child, what they were at age 3+ is different to what they are at age 4+. I am sure everyone agrees to me what I'm saying here, and
It's 4 o'clock.
It's the truth, to be honest. And I'm speaking as a mother, as a parent as well, that you need to make sure that your child goes through a school system, and it is very important.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think it will help many parents to actually judge in terms of what they are thinking and what's the perspective of eminent speakers and principals like you. Charu ma'am, if I have to just kind of ask you a question related to that with respect to social and emotional learning of a child, especially in an online setting. Can you throw some light with respect to how schools are managing that? Because clearly, we have heard in the last 1 year that this topic has become more relevant, especially in an online setting than in an offline setting. So what do you think that what schools have done, what your schools have done, and what can be more done? Because whatever is done is less in this area. So can you please throw some light on that? And I'll quickly go to Kiran ma'am and Bharti ma'am as well to get their perspective as well on this.
Right. So Vikram, like I said, that when the schools suddenly closed down and children had to sit at the dining tables and the double beds to take the classes, and more than the children, more than the teachers, it was the children and the parents who were completely lost as to what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what needs to be downloaded. So I'll share a few things that my school did. And we started with interaction with our parents. We told them that, look, this is the situation none of us wanted. So, and we have to kind of now be solution oriented. So let's figure out a way. So there were few, to-dos that we had to share in terms of what needs to be downloaded, where can you find the links. And then we started with our, parent teacher connect, and we started contacting our parents if they could come with some suggestions to improve online learning and online classes. There was a specific timetable that was created, keeping in mind that the screen time doesn't exceed. So we had parents complaining of, that their screen time is too much, and can you reduce the classes? So we did not really want to reduce the classes, because otherwise that would create learning gaps, and the children were clearly not learning. So we had to do, like Bharti ma'am said, we had to now become counselors. So we were counseling them on, screen time can be managed in terms of there can be gaps in between two classes. So you can have a 10-minute gap, you can have a fruit break, you can have a lunch break like you have in the normal school. So we were trying like assigning leadership, to the leadership roles to the children, even on an online platform. Right, having PTMs, having virtual tours, showing them PDFs of the books, playing online games and puzzles. So and having sessions for moms, like some nutritious cooking for moms. So my home science department came up with a complete health manual, and the children actually took a session, the senior students took a session with my moms, telling them how to, teaching them rather how to, make some nutritious meals and quick breakfast at home for online learning, and something that keeps your immunity intact. And then there was a session for all the dads on communication skills, because they were communicating sitting at home, they were managing their office, so parents were like, we did something like that. So all those things were done only to reduce the gap between online and offline learning. We realized that we were getting into something called as hybrid model of teaching or blended learning, and but then we were only doing this to make the child feel secure. And my favorite dialogue to all the parents who were cribbing about, or who were finding it challenging to make the children sit in uniforms, I used to tell them that, look, it's just that the child is not coming to a brick and mortar school building. He does not get to see a colorful chair and a table. He doesn't come with a tiffin and a bag and a water bottle. He's sitting at the comfort of his dining table, but the school is very much on. And the school doesn't really have to be, a brick and mortar classroom, which is fancy. My teachers did make an effort to kind of decorate their classrooms when they got to come to school during pandemic. And they actually did a little virtual tour and showed it to the children that, look, children, we are in the classroom, right? So they put that as a background of their, Zoom classes, so that the parents could feel that, and the children could feel that ma'am is actually sitting in the classroom. So we did all that, and we had to tell the parents that the classroom or the learning process is very much on, and it's the environment that you have to make conducive. It is the environment that has to be a platform which encourages learning, which makes learning conducive, and therefore parent contribution to the learning process of the child was very important. Now we were talking about examinations, and all these became a part of the learning process. We actually went on to revise our assessments. So 2 years ago I had revised my assessment policy, in sense of we were not only judging the students or assessing the students on scholastic and post scholastic, we were also doing a behavior checklist. So that was brought in also when we did a behavior checklist with respect to online. So there are some online learning tools, and there are some rules that you need to follow, which are made right in the beginning of the class. And so your behavior with your parents, your behavior with your teachers, your behavior with your peers, your attendance, your creativity, the quality of questions you're asking, that shows your critical thinking ability. So all these also were kind of it was like a low stake assessment, but it was happening in my school, and I was genuinely promoting it because I thought this was very important. So how are you managing change? How are you managing emotions? How are you managing your attendance regularly in the classroom? Are you a solution oriented parent, or a child, or a teacher? So these were few parameters which are important, and these are some of the skills which are required in the coming times also, because blended learning is the way to be. I feel, I don't think that even when you see, even as a school head, I feel even when the schools reopen, we as and all the principals who are sitting here will agree with me that we are not going to let our teachers go back to chalk and talk or chalk and dust. We will tell them, hello, we have smart boards. So you were doing online learning, you were doing fantastic, now bring some of that back to the classroom, even though you're sitting in a physical classroom. So our teachers will become torch bearers of blended learning now. So this generation of teachers is, I feel, much more empowered, and all schools will kind of work upon only taking the level up.
Oh, Kiran ma'am, what has been your experience? I know we are almost running out of time, and we have a couple of questions as well. So, Kiran ma'am, quickly you throw light on what has been your experience, and I'll just open up for Q&A and go to Bharti ma'am post that. Yes, Kiran ma'am. You're on mute, ma'am.
Just taking forward what Charu ma'am has said, that social and emotional connect, like how the teachers made it at least little possible for the parents and the students to be, to have that feel of their school. So if I can recall my last session, especially, wherein the teachers were taking classes from their own school only. They decorated them. They made, it was like a deja vu moment for the children. So they were made to feel very nostalgic about how they used to be in their classes. So they took classes from their own classrooms whenever it was possible. They did make, wonderful videos of how they were missing their children, the last years, whatever, photographs and everything was put in place. They were made to show the school and how badly they were missing their lovely kids. So they were made to give that feel also through nice presentations, through nice videos. And you won't believe, we had a beautiful summer camp the last year, wherein the teachers, they conducted cooking without flame, beautiful classes wherein the children could make, ice creams out of Oreos and this and that. So very nice recipes. And believe you me, the children used to make it there and then the following evening and send those videos and the pictures to their teachers. That, ma'am, I have been able to make this sandwich. And along with mamas and papas, especially on Father's Day, Papa was doing cooking, with the children in the kitchen, and they were all enjoying. So that, that took care of that emotional, basically connect. They were able to connect. It was the child, the parent, and the school. So that triangular connection was very much visible. And as we can speak of those nursery and KG, the kindergarten admissions, yes, I think the parents need to be impressed upon that, staying at home will not fetch them anything. It is they connect with the school, with the teachers, because teachers are taking wonderful online classes. If we see the nursery and the kindergarten classes, they are brilliant. If we are able to enter the classes, I think we don't feel like leaving those classes. The way they are using wonderful aids, the way they are doing the storytelling, the story narrations, the way they are celebrating, whether it is Eid, whether it is Guru Parv, or whether it is Diwali with beautiful diyas they have in their rooms. So the children I don't think they would feel that they are not in the school, because the teachers' efforts make it possible for them to be virtually there in the class. So I think those things are being taken care of. And in the end, of course, I would say that in the coming times, I also agree it is going to be a hybrid learning. It is going to be a blended version of click and the brick and mortar schools. So what percentage, that the times will tell us.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Let me quickly go to Bharti, ma'am. Ma'am, there is a question from a working mother. She's saying that it's very difficult for me to manage home, office, and my 4-year-old kid online classes. Any suggestions how she can manage all together?
If the child is really small in the pre-primary years, the mother can ask for online lessons from the teachers. They do share. We are sharing online lessons with the parents. And whenever she gets time, she can sit with the child, make him learn, make him revise, make him go through the class once again. So, and this time has actually brought children closer to their parents, because when children are being helped in learning by their parents, children do help parents in their household work also. You can streamline them. It's not that you just have to, be scattered and no scheduling at all. You can make a definite schedule wherein you can take help from your children, whether small or big or young or whatever. You can take help from the children in your household works, and you can help them in learning also. Online assignments are not that easy even for class 5 child. So the parent needs to help. Similarly, the child can help the parents at home also. I believe the mother's question has been attended to.
Sure, ma'am. In fact, to just add to that, the father will also have to pitch in a bit.
Definitely.
You should take some help from him as well. It is his responsibility as well to manage the child. So that was on a lighter note. Let me quickly go to Prachi, ma'am. Ma'am, one of the questions which has come is with respect to my child is introvert, and he is very shy. Even it is very difficult for teachers to interact with him when the physical classes were on. So how do you think that in online it is going to help this child? The parent is very afraid of this. What suggestion you have for this parent?
Teachers are trained to identify, children who are outspoken or as well as introvert. And teachers are actually well aware of it. And if you will notice, in our school, if we notice there is a child who's not talking as much as other children are, or more than what the other children are, those children are very easily identifiable. And teachers are trained to, if the child, to ask them questions, to bring forth those questions, ask for life experiences. In this time, I would say teachers and students have a great opportunity. They can always schedule a class with smaller amount of children, where an introvert, an extrovert, or all introverts are clubbed together and they're encouraged to speak. The only way you bring these are child, as a child, I was extremely introvert. You needed to ask me and then only I would answer. It didn't mean that I didn't know. It was teacher's role to encourage me to be a class participant. And I would say online teaching gives teachers more opportunity to bring forth those children. Sometimes we identify introvertness with other learning difficulties, and it is not to be confused. The school should also be encouraged to identify these children are identified within our teacher diaries, and the school should be encouraged to put forth various counseling sessions within that framework of classes. A lot of our counseling sessions are done in a way there where the entire class is present, so it's not that each or one individual or two individuals are targeted. Another thing that the parents should look forward to is arranging some session with the counselors themselves to understand if there is a behavioral issue, or just the child has a mindset to be in the sense that they don't feel comfortable, or they don't feel the need to talk. A lot of children are very robust in classes, talking. Some children are quieter. They just talk when the teacher asks them, "Mereko jitna karna hai utna karna." This is psychology, and teachers have to understand. Sometimes I see teachers saying, "No one will say. I will tell who will talk." So teachers have the tendency to do that, to bring forth the introvertness from the children. And children have very different behaviors. Ghar pe kuch, school mein kuch. So parents should have that interaction with the school also, as to how the teacher or the counselor judge the child's behavior. There's nothing wrong in being an introvert. Personally, this is what I see. We teach our children to listen more than talk. And listening is a better skill any day than talking, because then you can imbibe more values, more ideologies, more knowledge. If you talk, it's not such a great idea. Listening is so much more important. I really feel that. So, I attend a lot of these sessions just to listen and see what other educators are thinking myself. So listening is a great skill to have. So the parent should be happy if the child is listening.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that answers that question. There's a last question, and it is specifically for Charu, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question which says that how can we impart behavioral skills to our children at home with the help of online schooling?
Sir, I think it all starts with the parenting. It all starts with how you behave, how you act, because the child is now confined to his or her home. So it's just that how you behave with each other, how you behave with your elders, how you behave with your younger ones, and if there is a helper at hand, your helpers, how do you behave with them, the way you talk, the way you attend people who come to you, the way you I think it starts with how you manage yourself, how you manage your relationships as a parent, and then how you manage your relationship with your child. So you see, I remember there was a time when one of my teachers, she was very angry at one of the children, and that girl said, and she actually asked, she said, "Itni badtameezi se baat karna aapne kahan se seekha?" And the girl was, I would say, brave enough to answer back, and she said, "Ma'am, aapse." So you see, this was something that I encountered, and I realized, my God, I mean, very brave of her and very honest of her to have said that. But you see, that is a report card enough to tell you that if the children learn from their environment, to give them a learning environment, if you give them an environment which is full of experiences which are joyful yet meaningful, I think the child will pick up. So if you follow a timetable for yourself, the child will be encouraged to follow a timetable. And there are certain behaviors which have to be acquired. So not everyone will on their own. For example, if you have this ambition for your child that he should converse with you in English language, it's something that is not going to come naturally to the child, because it is not something that is a part of your household. So you'll have to let the child acquire that skill by having conversations with him, by making him a time in which he reads, or she does, she explains what she has read. She has those times in front of the mirror where she could, talk. So I think it's some behaviors are required. For that, you'll have to work, you'll have to do a little research to how do you get your child to this particular habit. And the last thing, I think you have to share a very healthy, fruitful relationship with your child. Spare 10 to 15 minutes with your children and do not ask them, "Acha, school mein kya hua? And have you completed your homework? And when your ma'am was praising you and that ma'am was not praising you." Please avoid such conversations for those 15 minutes and talk about, so what kind of friends do you have? Acha, which is your favorite color? Why is your favorite color? So what is your toy's name? And do you want to tell me a story? Should I tell you a story? Let's go for a walk. Talk about the plants around, talk about the trees around, talk about other things which interest the child, tell him or her stories. So I think that quality time is very important. That's when the child's creative mind and right behavior really opens up.
I think, ma'am, pandemic has definitely given us uh, that one thing which was lacking in our lives is the time. Now,
Relationships.
and
Yes.
exactly, so people have realized it in last 1 year that बस ऐसे ही बातें कर रहे हैं कि हम बिजी है, इसमें बिजी है, उसमें बिजी है, बट जब एक्चुअली में घर पे बैठ के कर रहे हो तो चीजें सारी हो भी रही है, ज्यादा एफिशिएंटली हो रही है एंड टाइम भी बच रहा है to give it and share it with your near and dear ones. So I am very certain that to some extent there is a huge negative side to the pandemic with respect to people losing life and jobs and all that, economy going backwards by years and all. But there is a very positive side with respect to making relationship and ensuring that you strengthen your relationship with your near and dear ones. So to that note, I think I should thank all of you.
I was sharing this, just wanted to share one more thing. I was just talking to my teachers the other day and I told them, I said, you and I were very, very lucky because of this profession that we are in. All the difficult times that surround us, all the sad news that surround us, we have something to look forward to. That is, what are we going to do in our next class? So we have so much learning happening, so much opportunity to learn online. This session is one such, it's a huge learning for me. So there's so much opportunity to do so many things that you were not able to do. It's just that I feel at this point of time management is very important. Like you said that we are working and then we have the free time also. But some people who lack time management are working 24 hours and then they are cribbing also that, working from home is more tedious because even at 10 o'clock in the night we are working. So that requires a bit of time management. But yes, this time has come with an opportunity to learn and grow and to do something, which you can give back to the society. So we as educators are very lucky that ways. We are very meaningfully occupied.
To add one more point to it, last April gave us jitters because we were not sure what we are going to do, where we are going to take things to. My teachers, they were, preparing themselves for the coming times. But this April, when we got to know that it's all going to be online again, there was no panic. They were all well prepared. They welcomed this thing in a way that they were all stronger enough now. Yes, we are an empowered team now.
No doubt about that, ma'am. There is no doubt about that, that to some extent last 1 year has taught us many things, and those learnings are now getting implemented for last few months, which will reap benefits in the future. But clearly from our topic point of view, I think that in between we digress from the topic just to ensure that we cover more stuff within this 1 hour. And I'm thankful to each one of you that you have spared 20 more minutes from your time to the question of Charu ma'am on time management. I'm sorry, I'm a poor timekeeper here. And since you were talking, it was so interesting to hear your views that I did not stop any one of you and manage my time well on at least on this session. So I am very thankful to all of you.
It has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure. Those 20 minutes will not be costing us. So it's been very productive. So we are thankful to you people, everybody, each one of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you everyone for joining on this session. And I appreciate that you're taking time out and talking about the real issues which you are facing, your schools have faced, your parents are facing on the ground, and how you have turned around this situation, which is not good outside, but at the same time you have managed to navigate a bit in your own way. So I'm thankful to each one of you for joining as a panelist on this session, and thankful to the audience as well. In fact, your talk was so interesting, ma'am. You can see that there are 131 attendees still there who are listening to all of you. So thank you so much for your time today afternoon, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vikram, for this
Okay, thank
opportunity. It
you.
was lovely
Thank you so
meeting
much.
all the principals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank
So,
you.
like
Bye-bye.
Vikram, I said that this is a time for making relationships. I'm sure all four of us now have a relationship through UniApply. Thank you
Yes.
so much for this.
Thank you, ma'am.
Need a
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yes.
checklist, Charu ma'am, and I'm going to connect with you just to find out how you do that, because that seemed a very interesting concept to me to have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
checklist. So we will
Any
definitely
day.
connect after this.
Yes, yes, absolutely, ma'am.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Stay in touch.
Yes, we will. We will.
Okay, ma'am. Take care. Bye-bye.